It's recap time. 3, 2. Hey, quick interruption, Future Chip here. If you're coming from the previous video and you already know the drill, you can skip directly to the recap. Otherwise, if this is your first time, I'll let you with the intro and enjoy the episode. 1. Hello everybody and welcome to the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host Chip and this is not my usual intro. This is a bit of a special episode. Unfortunately, I will be away for a few days and I found out this interesting way of filling the gaps with recaps from previous episodes. If this is your first time here, use it as an opportunity to find topics that you might be interested in and go back to listen to the original ones. If you are a usual listener of the Shower Podcast, well, again, this might be a rehearsal of topics that you might be interested in. Otherwise, I understand if you want to wait for me to be back. But in the meanwhile, the podcast needs to continue and we need to reach day 365. Having said that, I will not keep you longer. Thank you very much for listening. As always, a like and a subscribe. They are always welcome. And now, recap time.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, we're jumping straight into the source material you sent over today.
That's right.
A really quick but thorough look at the latest 3 short episodes from Chip's Shower Podcast. Episodes 270, 271, and 272, the weekend drop ones.
Yeah, our mission here is basically to pull out the main threads, the core ideas, maybe some personal bits from Chip, working through them in order.
And hey, if anything we talk about clicks with you, definitely check out the original episodes. You'll get the full picture there.
Absolutely. Consider this the highlights reel. So let's start with 270. It's called Progress, Not Proof.
Right, and this one tackles something I think, well, pretty much everyone struggles with motivation, especially for those long-haul goals.
It really does. The episode argues, pretty convincingly I think, that we often mess up by chasing proof.
Proof meaning, like external validation.
Exactly. A big result, hitting a milestone, maybe a compliment from the boss, or, even just a like online. We wait for that thing before we let ourselves feel good about what we're doing.
And that just seems like a recipe for disaster, doesn't it? Because if your whole reward system depends on that outside feedback, what happens when it dries up? Or just slows down? The source mentions studies showing people just, quit when the praise stops.
Precisely. You've basically outsourced your motivation. You've given away the control.
So the fix has to be internal then.
That's the core argument. Psychology really backs this up too. The most reliable way to, keep going and not burn out. It's not waiting for the big finish line applause. It's learning to notice and value the progress, the small steps forward, the little signs of improvement that maybe only you can see.
Okay, so shifting the focus from the big, maybe distant proof to the daily internal gain.
Yeah.
But how does that work practically? I mean, tracking miles for a marathon is easy. What about writing a book or learning a skill? It's less tangible.
That's a great question, and the episode gets into it. The research suggests defining the smallest visible improvement. So maybe not finishing the whole project report today, but maybe leading one team meeting that felt, genuinely clearer than yesterday's. Or if you're learning French, it's not suddenly being fluent.
Oh, of course not.
It's maybe just understanding a phrase on the radio without consciously translating it. That little flicker of understanding becomes the reward. The act of getting better feels good.
Ah, okay, that clicks. I remember Daniel Pink's work being mentioned mastery as a core driver, but this is like the micro version of mastery recognition.
Exactly. It's the fuel for the mastery engine. And researchers looking at workplace engagement, they found something really striking.
What was that?
The single biggest factor keeping people motivated and engaged wasn't the salary, not the benefits. It was feeling like they were making meaningful progress. Day to day.
Just that sense of moving forward. Wow.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be huge breakthroughs. Psychologists say even just ticking a box on a to-do list or jotting down a quick note, this part worked well, that simple act significantly boosts your chances of hitting the bigger goal.
Like reinforcing the behavior right there in the moment.
And our brains are literally wired for it. There's neuroscience confirming that the brain's reward centers light up when you recognize your own improvement, even if no one else notices. No external praise needed.
So waiting for the book deal or the marathon finish line, you're basically running on fumes for potentially years.
Right. Chip's point is the fuel you actually control is that daily input, that small step, the slightly heavier lift, the clearer sentence, solving one tricky problem.
Yeah, he had a moment of honesty there too, didn't he?
He did. He admits he finds this hard himself, which is relatable, but he points to the podcast itself, these short episodes, as him practicing it. He's not waiting for huge listener numbers or tons of feedback to feel like he did a good job.
The act of creating it consistently is the progress.
That's it.
Okay, so progress is the key fuel because it's always available if you look for it. But that leads to the next problem, right? How do you maintain the consistency needed to see that progress?
Perfect transition. That takes us straight into episode 271, Time Anchors.
The structural fix.
Exactly. If progress is the fuel, time anchors are like the framework, the scaffolding, holding your schedule together so it doesn't just collapse into a blob.
A blob of shapeless time. I like that. So an anchor is just a fixed point.
Any fixed intentional moment that stops the drift. Because the source mentioned research on temporal landmarks.
Temporal landmarks, like a Monday or the start of a month.
Yeah, or even just specific time each day. They act like mental reset buttons. The research showed when time feels shapeless, like days just blurring together.
Motivation drops, procrastination goes up. Makes sense. There's nothing holding the day in place.
Right. So the anchor is that non-negotiable point. Could be a morning walk, could be sitting down at 9 a.m. sharp to plan, maybe an evening ritual to shut down work.
Like putting pegs on a clothesline, the episode said, to stop it sagging.
That's the analogy. And behavioral scientists call these fresh start cues. They actually signal your brain, okay, reset, refocus now. They don't need to be complicated, just predictable.
And apparently quite effective. There was a study mentioned.
Yeah, starting something on a landmark Monday, first of the month, whatever boosted persistence by like 27%. That's huge for habit formation.
27%, that's not trivial at all.
Not at all. And another study showed just one consistent, planned 5-minute check-in each day significantly improves long-term habit sticking. It just creates that reliable mental hook to come back to.
Okay, but let me push back a little. Isn't this just a rigid schedule with a fancy name? What about people with chaotic lives?
Right.
Or people who hate rigidity? Doesn't setting an anchor just become another thing to feel guilty about missing?
That's a really fair point. And I think the key implied in the episode is intentionality over rigidity. Remember the clothesline. You don't need pegs every inch.
Just a few strong ones.
Right. Maybe you only need 1 or 2 really solid anchors in your day or week. If you miss your 9 a.m. planning session because life happens, maybe you catch the next anchor, perhaps your lunch break routine, to consciously reset and recommit. It's about having reliable return points, not a minute-by-minute military schedule.
Flexibility within the structure.
Okay.
And Chip gave a really good personal example of why anchors matter, even if you know the theory.
Oh, yeah, that was great. He admitted when he started the podcast, he recorded at the exact same time every single day. A super strong anchor. Now things have, as he put it, drifted by. Life got busier, travel, etc. He still gets the episodes done, but he slots them in whenever he can. And he said, quote, "It's way, way harder now without that fixed time."
That's the perfect illustration. Even the guy talking about it feels the friction when the anchor is gone. It really lands the point.
It does. And that very struggle keeping things going when life gets messy leads us right into the next episode, 272. This is where he tackles that need for flexibility head on.
Yes, the Shower Diaries announcement.
Right. The new and most likely the last kind of format, he called it. Definitely a shift. Less structured, more personal, kind of behind the scenes.
A departure from the usual deep dives into self-improvement or critical thinking stuff we normally get. Why the change?
Well, it sounds like creative sustainability, honestly. He mentioned hitting day 300 and just finding it harder and harder to keep up the pace of producing totally new, structured content every time.
Especially with travel and being on the go.
Exactly. Not always having the headspace or time to sit down, reflect, script things out properly. So the diaries are meant to be, well, easier for him, more breathable.
So the flexibility wasn't just for variety. It was almost a survival mechanism for the project.
Seems like it. They'd already added recaps and the weekend drops for flexibility, but this goes further. These diary entries are unscripted, meant to be relaxing for him to make.
That's a lesson in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to adjust the how to keep the what going, lowering the barrier to keep the habit alive.
Totally. If the anchor holds, like, the commitment to create something, maybe the format needs to bend.
And speaking of validation, he shared a really interesting story in this one.
Oh, yeah, about helping his friend with a video. That's the one. A friend was putting out a pretty controversial video, and Chip helped with the messaging, the shooting, editing, the whole technical side.
Okay. And the insight wasn't about the video's topic, but something else.
Right. It was about his process. He realized he applied the same methods he uses for the Shower podcast, thinking about content delivery, structure, clarity, to this completely different project for his friend.
And it worked.
Apparently, it brought very, very good results. And that gave him a kind of internal validation, a pat on the back, as he put it. It confirmed that the way he thinks about structuring and delivering content, well, it wasn't inherently wrong. The methodology itself was sound.
Wow, that brings it all back around, doesn't it? We start talking about not relying on external proof. And he ends up finding his proof not in listener stats, but in seeing his own methods work effectively in a totally different situation, helping someone else. That's powerful.
It really ties it all together.
Yeah.
Valuing the process, the methodology, over just the final numbers. He said it reinforced his belief that numbers are not everything, and doing the right thing the right way can lead to good outcomes.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the big themes from these 3 episodes.
All right, first up, ditch chasing external proof and focus on tracking internal progress. That's your controllable motivation fuel.
Got it. Second, use time anchors, those fixed intentional points, to give your schedule structure and fight that drift, making it easier to actually track the progress consistently.
And third, embrace flexibility when needed. Like the Shower Diaries show, sometimes you need to adapt the format or the how to maintain the rhythm and keep going. And finding validation in solid methods, not just metrics.
So the takeaway thought for you listening, given how important tracking progress is and how anchors provide stability, maybe think about your own life, work, or personal. Are there any existing routines or potential pegs you could make a bit more solid, more intentional this week?
Yeah, where could you add just one reliable anchor to stop some of that schedule sag and give yourself a bit more control, a bit more of that progress-based motivation?
Just something to think about.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the latest from the Shower podcast.
Stay consistent, stay resilient.
And we'll see you tomorrow.